Hello, I'm Giles Peacroft, and I've been asked to make a short video in light of the fact that it's 50 years since Sydney Banks had his profound enlightenment experience and went on to share his understanding through the three principles. And I've been asked to let you know what life was like before I came across the three principles and then after. And I suppose before I came across the three principles, I was successful, I was happy enough, but I always felt like I didn't fit in. I trained as a doctor and went on to be a surgeon. I never really felt like a proper doctor. I never felt like I fit in with the surgery crowd and ended up leaving. And I went on and did like loads of different careers, loads of amazing things that were, really exciting to do and very fulfilling. And yet I just never felt like I fit in. I never felt like I ever found anything that really gave me peace of mind. And I remember it got to a point where I honestly believed that there was something wrong with me. I really did. I thought that I was going to be one of these people who would just never be happy because I couldn't find the right thing for me. So in terms of how I was during that time, I suppose I was quite frustrated. I was quite quick to anger. I was really hard on myself. After I left medicine, I did a whole load of personal development, and I didn't even seem to be able to get that right. They seemed to be telling me that there were all these things I had to do to be happy, and I could never really be bothered committing to doing any of those. So I thought that it was a life of misery for Giles. And then I came across the three principles. I'd been listening to podcasts, and I read a book, and I had a couple of insights. And the first insight that I had was the most profoundly simple and obvious one, and that's that everything that I feel, any feeling I have in any moment, is a reflection of thought, is a reflection of where my thinking's at in that moment. And when that really landed for me, it was like, what? Of course, why did nobody tell me that? And it happened just with my daughter, who was 5 at the time, and we'd had this little domestic interaction, the two of us, at home one day, and I got really angry and frustrated, and just like almost like a punch to the side of the head, it suddenly hit me. Oh my word! Like, these feelings that I'm having have got nothing to do with what my daughter has said or not said or done or not done. These feelings are me, that I'm experiencing my own thinking here in this moment. And right there, everything just fell away. Like, my head went quiet for the first time in my life, I think. The hair's standing up on the back of my neck. Time stretched out. I just stood there like gaping, and it was too much to process, really. It took a couple of days, but that was sort of the start of the edifice crumbling, if you like. And then a few days later, I was due to give a talk at a conference, and to cut a long story short, I didn't give the talk I was supposed to give. It was one that I'd been delivering for 10 years. It was very slick. It was like very PowerPoint based. And I stood up and I heard myself. I hadn't planned it, but I heard myself saying, I'm not going to give you the talk that I was supposed to give you to an audience of 100 people. I'm going to tell you something far more important, because I just wanted to tell people about the three principles, because it already just in a few days had such a profound effect on me. And I didn't know what I was going to say, and my heart was hammering in my ears, and my palms were sweating, and my mind was yammering away going, what are you doing, what are you doing? And yet at the same time, I'd never felt so safe and at home in my own skin than ever before. I knew I was okay. I knew that underneath all of that very human experience, I was fine, and I went on to deliver the you know, probably the best talk I've ever given. It was astounding, and life, you know, life just never looked the same after that. Having been through what, from the outside, looked like a profoundly stressful experience, and certainly I had the physiology to you know, that wasn't me. That wasn't the kind of thing I did. But I was a-okay, and I knew in that moment that nothing could harm me psychologically. I just knew, like I knew my own name, that everything was going to be okay. So those are the two insights I had, and then from then on, in terms of, you know, how my life changed, just, you know, bit by bit, sort of layers of misunderstanding fell away, I suppose, and I saw the three principles deeper and deeper. It didn't make sense to be angry anymore and to hold on to anger. I knew that there was nothing wrong with me. I was labouring under the misapprehension that something outside of me was responsible for my happiness, and once I'd seen through that, it just all went away. So yeah, life changed completely. I mean, I'm a totally different person before and after the three principles. I handle uncertainty with a lot more confidence these days. It doesn't really bother me not knowing what's going to happen, because I know, having had this experience of my own health, of this experience of my own being, of this experience of my own essential spiritual nature, I suppose, I know that that's my guide, really, and that life's going to take me in whatever direction, and I'm going to enjoy it to its fullest. So yeah, I'm a lot more relaxed about everything these days. I still experience ups and downs, but I certainly don't get bothered by it anymore. You know, if I get angry, which I do from time to time, very rarely, but I do, you know, it's like, well, that was anger for a moment. It's not a problem, you know. So not afraid of my feelings anymore, and I don't really make a big deal of them, because I know that they'll pass. Now, in terms of how the three principles affect the world of mental health, well, the three principles are basically the answer to the mental health crisis. The mental health crisis is rooted, the whole of it is rooted in this very innocent human misunderstanding of where our experience is coming from. It's very, very disempowering to think that the way you feel is as a result of the circumstances that you find yourself in. It's very natural, and you know, I still fall for it myself, but it's incredibly disempowering, and that kind of like layered upon itself over a long period of time, that's going to cause mental health problems, you know. So I very much see this as the next step in our evolution as a species, really. If we're going to get ourselves out of the situation that we find ourselves in, then to really see where our experience is coming from, and to see who we really are underneath that very human experience, I think is the answer. You know, this is, you might be watching this thinking, well, this is nothing new. Well, no, it's not. People have been saying this since we developed the ability to say things. You know, if you look to all the ancient wisdom, they've all been saying the same thing, but the way that Sydney Banks articulated it with the three principles, for me, has been what's really made the difference for me. So I hope that's helpful. If you want to learn more, I suggest you head over to the 3pgc.org website and check out some of the resources there. Thanks for your time.